Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. This is a special one as we're going over, talking about, reviewing, whatever you want to call it, the Game Awards 2024. It was quite a show here. Ran about 3.5 hours long ish.
At least three.
And they had all the kit and caboodle awards announcements, all the stuff you'd expect. And of course, it's so big, I can't just have Marc here. I got to have Randy as well. So, welcome back, Randy, as well. How are you feeling today?
I'm so glad I didn't live stream this. I wouldn't have a voice. It was quite the wild ride that Geoff put us on. That's for sure.
So the rumors going around before the show started was there was supposed to be two huge announcements that are going to be like, oh my God. And I think we know now which ones they are.
Do we? There were more than two.
Yeah, there were more than two, exactly. But definitely you can kind of see what they were talking about there. But probably the opening and the ending, I think, is maybe what they were probably reflecting on. But I guess my first thought of that is this when I got done just thinking about everything and all the announcements and all that, it's like this finally felt like it took him 10 years. Maybe it's because it's the 10th anniversary and he's got the cachet now. He's got the pull a little bit more than he did many years ago or whatever. But I think this is it. This is what he wants this show to be. It finally feels like E3 mixed with an award show, mixed with a little bit of something else. I thought this was his best one he's ever done.
Yeah, I think it's the closest he's gotten to exactly what he keeps saying that he wants it to be. It's kind of a celebration of the past, present, and future of gaming, and that's exactly what we got here. He brought up a lot of people that have been in the industry for a long time that had that special award that they gave out as well, which is kind of the behind the scenes industry stuff. Obviously, yes, if you're just looking for awards, some of the awards go by pretty quick, but I thought they gave extra time for some of them, and they weren't rushing them off the stage, which was nice to see. So everyone kind of got their moment. And of course, the reveals were insane as well. And yes, this thing went well over 3 hours, especially if you count their pre-show or whatever they're calling it. But other than maybe an hour in the middle, it felt like the whole thing flew by.
Marc, what do you think?
Other than that 1 hour.
Well, usually it's other than the first 10 minutes and the last 5 minutes that the show felt like it drug for 2.5 hours. So we're improving.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Marc.
I was gonna say I still just don't like how he doles out the awards. That's still the biggest issue of this thing is he bangs up 5 awards in 30 seconds, and then he has a performance not just by Snoop Dogg, but by some white band I never even heard of before, and at least the orchestra twice.
Right.
And I had a film critic friend going legitimately asking why is this thing longer than the Golden Globes? And it's do you want a joke answer or the real answer? There's no reason this thing should be this long.
For me, the length doesn't bother me necessarily, because that's the only way you're going to get the devs be able to talk. I think he had to make that sacrifice of, if I want everything that I want else on the show and I don't have to do the wrap it up stuff, I have to be okay with the show being close to 4 hours or whatever, like the Oscars would be. And you can decide to turn it off. And I think, to me, except for the Snoop Dogg one, which that one was obviously, hey, I got a chance to have Snoop Dogg do some music, why not get him out here? Whatever. The other ones kind of felt almost like commercial placement. Here's a break from all the announcement flourish that you had, especially that first opening 30 minutes when the Civ 7 orchestra came on. I was like, oh, great. I can take a breather. I don't have to pay attention for a little bit. It didn't feel so much like, here's Imagine Dragons to waste our time for 10 minutes, So.
But then it was weird, he had Ella Purnell on stage for the best adaptation, and she didn't even speak. It's awkward. Like,
Well, I don't think she didn't want to.
Yeah.
Like, that was the whole point. Like Todd Howard pointed to her to go up, and she like shook him off. It wasn't like they said go up there and don't say a word. She didn't want to.
I think he even like did the thing where he's like, I forgot the name of the tall guy.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He kind of like did that thing where he's trying to push his hands to go, okay, Ella, your time, and then she kind of the same thing she does to Todd, kind of like, I don't know, I don't want,
right.
To me, some of the like, I get why, right? Because he still has the whole thing. He wants the celebrities, so I get why. Some of the decisions, like the ongoing game thing, I would have been more upset about, but I feel like Helldivers 2 deserves to have its moment because it got robbed from being in Game of the Year. Depending on what you feel like Game of the Year should be. Like, I feel like if you're such an important game to that year, you kind of deserve to be in the category. But again, this is voted on by a million other people in other countries and whatever. I didn't mind that so much. The adaptation thing is just kind of like, I get it. They wanted to have a reason to have Aaron Paul there, but it's kind of like, did we really, that's the one we're going to choose instead of one that's about an actual video game, but I feel like that's being nitpicky. To me, like most of the decisions he made were even the Muppets, which he's had the Muppets before and they were terrible. And this time is actually good because he's making fun of himself. And he's making fun of like the stuff from last year.
Yeah, but
like that. He recognizes that he kind of did wrong there in certain cases.
But they took up a lot of time. And it's like, why have this bullshit here? Like,
it's entertaining.
Yeah. He's trying to placate to other people, not just the gamers that are going to watch this, right? Because every year it keeps growing. This, you're having NPR and other outlets that are not gaming related covering this thing. That's what he wants. He wants it to go beyond just gaming for that one night of the year, so I don't know. It's doesn't
literally called the Game Awards, though. It's not
right,
called
but I mean,
the
like
Game and Muppet Awards. Like, I would have rather to cut down that bullshit and had like, best narrative had like an actual ceremony. I mean, I know Metaphor won it.
It did.
Like,
they had Sam Lake go out there and talk,
right,
and do his bit, and look. Like I said, this is never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something you're going to complain about, right? But I feel like of all the ones that last year, we had way more complaints and more legitimate complaints than we do. I feel like this year because he chocked this thing full of really what we come to this thing for, right? The announcements.
Yeah.
We can talk about the awards all we want to. That's cool. I love the fact that Astrobot won. I know, Mark, probably you don't.
I'm neutral on it. Like, it's fine. I'm surprised you liked it because you hated that one level. You got more.
No, but I love the game. It's just that one level frustrated me, but I love that game. I platinum the game. It's the only platinum I ever have is that game. So but and the fact that they released that Christmas level, actually, right, you can go play that right now, which is cool. Like the fact that they keep releasing stuff for this game, also. But I'm glad Rebirth didn't get Horizon and won something.
It won the one award I thought it was going to.
Because Metaphor could have won that award, man. Metaphor could have easily won that award too. So
I don't know. I've heard like 2 songs from Metaphor, like legit. So I'm not going to say it didn't deserve it or did deserve it because I don't know.
I mean, all those soundtracks in that whole thing were great. So it's
I mean, from that developer for sure. Because again, I'm not into Persona, but Persona music is fantastic. So I get it. I just haven't heard it.
And shout out to Neva for winning Games for Impact and Belatro winning Best Indie. Also, I mean, that kind of felt like a shoe-in to me. Belatro was just too popular, I feel like, to not win. But all right, let's get to the actual announcement stuff, which what a way to kick off your whole thing. Well, I guess we can start with the pre-show, which they had some cool bangers. Like for me and personally, 2 of my favorite franchises in the first 7 minutes. Ninja Gaiden gets a new game. That's the first announcement that they make, and it's being made by the .emu folks, which is Turtles and the Shredder's Revenge and Streets of Rage 4, 2 games that I think we all loved here. So that was a cool surprise.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be based on Ninja Gaiden Yaiba.
Yeah, no, please. Let's not do that. I don't know how big of a fan of Ninja Gaiden you are, Randy, but
I'm glad we're back to the 2D stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm an old man, so I grew up with the old NES games, and yes, the 3D games were just as hard and were wild for the Xbox and stuff, but it looked awesome. This was one that you can kind of tell is like we're starting off with this. We're gonna have a fun show. So I sent this message to you, Sean, near the end of the show. It was like basically the Game Awards was, hey, do you remember these games from like 20, 30, 40 years ago? They're all getting sequels, and get ready.
Does that concern you at all in a way that like we're getting too many?
But we're getting sequels now. We're not like we've gone through the remake washing machine for far too long. These are sequels. Like we're going back to old franchises that have been dormant. Maybe it gives hope for other franchises that have been dormant, but these are not. Well, here's your Ninja Gaiden NES trilogy collection, or here's your Turok collection. No, these are like new games for all these different franchises, and that's what I'm more excited about. It's like, all right, you're actually going back to franchises, but coming up with new ideas, and I'm so hyped for that kind of stuff.
I also want to mention Slay the Spire 2 getting a new trailer was awesome. For me too, I love Slay the Spire. And also the fact that Slow Cap is making a multiplayer soccer game that looked like a legit, like I've wanted an arcade soccer game since they stopped making the FIFA Street games. So like,
apparently forget about Mario Strikers.
I mean, that wasn't that great though. Like that was
I will give Blessing from Kind of Funny the nod for best joke about that game and calling it a Fifu.
Fifu.
That was well done.
That was anything from the pre-show that stood out to you guys at all, or
I didn't watch it, so
okay. I mean,
I want to watch the
show,
not the 8-hour pre-show, or
the fact that 30 minutes,
and it was the same as the Game Awards. It was nothing was different.
Yeah. I mean, the Shadow Labyrinth game where they're doing like I don't know if this guy. I guess he is like. Apparently, this is also in the Secret Level episode where they have Pac-Man. So I guess I haven't watched Secret Level yet. But
yeah, me neither. But it looks wild.
Like I don't know if this is like Pac-Man is telling the other character what to do for him or whatever. But that looks like ridiculous to me. I was like, this is not what I expected when they said alternate take on, Pac-Man or whatever. So
yeah,
that was really cool.
I need to see more of it, but it's an interesting take on Pac-Man, especially because like halfway through the trailer, you're hearing classic Pac-Man noises and stuff. It's going to be a mind trip of a game, I think.
Well, Robert, you could always, I could always put you in here. I didn't know you were awake and wanting to do a show right now. But I mean, Witcher 4, you start that off with, that's your first announcement from the actual show. I'm sure that the grifters are going to complain about Ciri being the main protagonist.
Yeah, but I thought about Asmongold when he said, I was thinking like, oh, he's never going to play this game because he plays a woman.
But I mean, like, isn't that pretty much, they made that very clear at the end of 3 that she was going to be the protagonist, basically, or the one that carried the torch? So
I don't know. I didn't finish 3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, sure, like,
yeah, but I mean, the trailer looked cool. Like her fighting that big Spider monster. Yeah, and the setup for it. Like, it took me a while to figure out. Oh, okay, this is Witcher. And when I figured out before they put the CD Projekt Red logo on there, but still, it's
once you see 2 swords, you know the score.
Yeah, it's talk about a big get for Keighley to get them just announcing it there. That's pretty great to get that at the beginning. So
Kept waiting for Keanu Reeves to show up though.
Rebirth finally is coming to PC. A month before it would have been the 1 year anniversary, and this time it's actually coming to Steam at the beginning. It's not coming to Epic and then getting a year exclusivity.
So they want to sell some copies of this thing.
Yeah. I'm sure the mods will be coming very quickly after that. The other cool, like this Gen Design game that looked like Mecha Shadow of the Colossus. What did you think about that, Randy? I don't know how much of a Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh,
yeah.
No, get that out of here. I'm not a Team Eco guy. I don't care about that guy.
Okay.
I don't like that franchise at all. It gives me bad memories from my backlog busting project days of playing those games. No, absolutely not. I'm not interested.
I thought it was cool. I will have to wait and see on that. I don't know, Mark. Are you?
I mean, it looked neat, but I just don't know what the actual gameplay is. If you're going to be controlling that big thing, or just piloting that ship around, or what if you're trying to find build another body, or what you're doing.
Yeah, I was like, as long as he's not going to be the mech version of Trico, then we're good. Yeah, I was good with Last Guardian for a while until Trico just started becoming like. I get that was the point.
But he's a puppy, I don't care.
Yeah, but it's just like, oh god, Outer Worlds 2. They finally got like a big reveal for that. That was awesome.
It looked more the same. I mean, it looked better, but I was like, yep, this is kind of what I expected.
Yeah, their trailers are always just fun.
Yeah,
like, you know what you're gonna get from that kind of game, but I like that they have fun with the trailers.
I
did like the Fallout 3 2 line.
Yeah, that was a good one. Like, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. You got Long Dark 2 getting announced, Mark. I know you like the Long Dark.
It looks cool because it looks like there are actually other people in the thing, or other survivors. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, people wanted another Final Fantasy character in Tekken, but they got Clive.
And they got the best one ever.
16 in Tekken 8, and he's coming next week. Does this make you want to go get Tekken right now?
No. But I know a lot of people are wanting Tifa in it. Tifa wouldn't have got me to do it either. So
Tifa's like the obvious choice because she's an actual like martial arts fighter. Like Clive uses a fucking sword, and Tekken is not a weapon. I mean, he'd fit in like Soul Calibur, but not Tekken.
Yeah, like Noct made sense because he doesn't have to use his sword technically.
Right. No, he did, but he didn't. Yeah, like he wasn't like married to it necessarily.
It like warps in and out, so like you could technically like punch and all that stuff. Like Clive it's all about I guess, especially because he hardly uses magic in that game, or it's not very effective.
It's just pitiful.
Right. Also, they had what is it? They had a lot of ads, and it said Turok not being made by its original developer. It's made by Saber Interactive.
Yeah, because its original developer is long gone.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, and it's called Turok Origins, so I guess this is them kind of like, if we can make this work, it'll become a series. It'll start from here. This was the first one where I was kind of like, okay, we're going in a different direction here.
I think Turok does have some name recognition of nostalgia, and the weird thing about Turok is the only Turok game that actually is like a dinosaur game is the first one.
Yeah. You excited about Turok at all?
We'll see. I mean, I know. I mean, like Mark said, like the name was there, or the game's very good. Not really. So we'll see what they kind of do with it. Hopefully, they can revamp the whole franchise. But
like 1 was cool, 2 had kind of cool weapons, but wasn't a good game, and then the rest of them were trash.
Right. Onimusha: Way of the Sword.
Oh man, so I'm very excited about that one.
Like, if there's a time, the thing is like 2026. I wonder if that's going to be like how are people going to be feeling about those games after we already have another Ghost game by then, and also the Assassin's Creed Shadows by then too.
By 2026, Shadow still won't be out, so that's kind of a misnomer. Like, who cares? Onimusha better have Jean Reno back in it from Onimusha 3. God damn it, that's all I can say.
I mean, that would be cool if he was there as like a cameo character.
Missed that franchise. Before, are we going kind of in order?
We are.
I feel like we've missed one.
Elden Ring.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring needs to be talked about. So go and talk about Elden Ring, but you still haven't gotten to the second biggest announcement of the whole show.
Okay.
I told Jens about Elden Ring, and he was excited until I read up on it and told him what it was, and then that excitement dissolved instantly.
But now it's a game where he plays with you, and that's the whole point of the game.
I mean, Elden Ring had online co-op.
But I'm just saying, like
99% of it. Like
now it's a co-op game, so like I mean, he can't play without you, but he can play with you. So
yeah, except it's also a roguelike.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And
I didn't see that roguelike part.
Yeah, it's a roguelike with like 30-minute long like missions. I don't think there's an open world necessarily. Like you select like a mission from a mission list.
But Mark, you're missing the biggest point that they brought up like 5 times. It's a standalone game, so it could be nominated without anybody throwing a
right.
It's also a different kind of game too. Like
they brought that up more than like you had to read the press release to figure out what kind of game it was. But I knew it was standalone because they sure brought it up.
I mean, it was obvious it's kind of standalone because of all like the different shit they had in it. Like,
well, I know, but just the fact that they kept bringing it up just because of the controversy.
Yeah. The controversy of Erdtree. I don't know, it looks cool, but I'll have to really grind or get Jens to play it, hopefully.
Yeah, and also the Joseph Fares
game,
the Split Fiction, that to me was like
looks so good.
Yes. Like if
and
you
the fact it's coming out in March. It's out in March. I'm so excited.
February and March are going to be ridiculous again this year. It's insane, and like also the fact like if you thought It Takes Two was like too childish or something, this is definitely like hitting that different level on that. And I love the fact that it's like it's going to change between fantasy and sci-fi every time.
And the fact that it sounds like it's a lot like It Takes Two, where they have just 90 different things
different
to do,
genres.
and every level is going to be different, and you're going to just hit all sorts of stuff, and who knows what else they're hiding from it. Like that whole company just kills it every single time. I've been waiting for what comes next from Joseph Fares and his crew, and they did not disappoint with that review.
I mean, also his introduction to the announcement also didn't disappoint. He was definitely delivering all the.
It's always insane.
Oh man, he's
What was your second most important thing, Randy?
That was it. That was it. Yeah.
The
Joseph Fares game was my second favorite game announced of the whole night.
I think it's funny that guy has a brother named Fares.
Oh really? That's awesome.
Yes.
He's like an actor, but yeah, it's like what? Like
and the two characters are named after his daughters, which is sweet, you know.
I knew a guy named Alan, so I guess I can't say too much.
Yeah.
Borderlands 4, more Borderlands.
Yeah.
We
didn't do it.
I saw a tweet from I think Rock Paper Shotgun who was like, "Oh, it's like the meme generator from 2011," and my response was the fact that they're aping a 13-year-old joke environment speaks a lot about Borderlands as a franchise.
I mean, that was the problem with Borderlands 3. You needed to play that thing on mute.
It's just so played out. It's like, get out of there, Randy. Not you, but the other.
All right, I'm out. I see you.
Like your like sense of humor is so awful in those games, and it just poisons all of it. Like the first game is arguably the best, even though it may not have the best gameplay, but it had like the least amount of that shit in it.
Mm-hmm.
It played it like fairly straight compared to like 3 or Tiny Tina's Wonderland, whatever the hell that thing is called. Like, come on.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, we can get into a whole crazy discussion about it, but But yeah, the gameplay got a little bit better in like Borderlands 2. But you're right, like that whole team went, oh look at like everyone loves Claptrap for the couple of jokes he did, and then they just run that one thing into the ground, thinking
Yeah.
the only reason we played the game was for his quips. No, it was a breath of fresh air at the time, but you can run that too far, and it's exactly
they went completely in the wrong direction as far. Yeah, he got way overexposed, and like Tiny Tina got overexposed, and Moxie got overexposed.
Mhm.
It's like these are characters that work best in very limited scenarios, not like not having their own game. It's like, yeesh.
For sure.
Yeah, no, for sure on that. Also, the talk about another friend. I mean, so there's been rumors for a while that there's going to be a new Virtua Fighter, but the fact that they got RGG to do the Virtua Fighter, and it looks really freaking cool. I'm not like a fighting game person, but the way they made this look before we got to the fighting game part, it looked awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the highlights of Maximilian Dude watching this live stream for that moment, because they kind of just hid the fact of what it was for a bit, and you're trying to figure out what it is. And those that are into the fighting games, which I am not, probably lost their mind on the big reveal. So I was not watching his stream, but I'll be watching his highlights. I'm very excited for that moment, especially.
You know they're gonna put in Kiryu and Majima from Yakuza in that fucking thing.
I mean, they need to. You can't do.
Don't need to. They're just going to, or like
you can't do RGG. You're not going to put at least one Yakuza character in there.
Put Kenny Omega in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he would be down.
I feel like also it's just like of all the people I would have thought we're gonna have them do this. Like talk about spot on, because that's at first I thought it was like, oh, was there another like hidden like a dragon game that never got released, and we're doing like the cowboy version of this, or like cowboy version of
that's
something?
other game that they announced.
Yeah, that Project Century or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, the Project Century that was like 1915 Japan, or that looked cool too. So anything else you guys want to mention besides the two big ones we haven't talked about yet?
I'm trying to remember. There's so much stuff. Out of all of the revivals and stuff, Double Dragon looked the worst.
Oh, that's been that's
always
been looking bad. Yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, for somebody that dabbled in Telltale games from time to time, that's the best looking Telltale game I've ever seen. That one that Aaron Paul
my
showed.
God.
Oh my! I
The
was shocked
game?
It was Telltale. Yeah.
Holy crap! As I for one, like the only thing that worries me is like, are we going down this road again, where we've been delaying Wolf Among Us, but then here we are working on another game. That are we working on it because now we got all these stars in here doing voices, and so now this is going to take precedent over Wolf Among Us, because we've been waiting on that Wolf Among Us game, Wolf Among Us 2, for a while, so like I'm just worried about, are we creeping into the old Telltale again? But dude, that game looked amazing.
I thought that Game of Thrones game actually looked really good until I found out it was a mobile game.
Yes, that too. I got so disappointed, man.
Because I was like, "Oh, this looks like Shadow of Mordor. This looks like Game of Thrones," and it's like, "I wonder if they get any of the TV actors back, or like."
Yeah.
And then you see, look at the developer, and it's like, nope.
It's like, come on! I thought we had finally licensed out a console game, and then no, I guess not.
And then making a new Screamer game is hilarious.
Yeah, that was another one I was kind of like, really? Also, the new game from the Overcooked devs, Stage Fright looked neat.
Yeah,
as well too. So, and that first Berserker Kazan game from the Russo brothers looks pretty cool also.
There's a whole lot free to play stuff in this thing. There are a lot of gotcha games that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
I mean,
those are the ones that bring in the money to be able to do the rest of it.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah.
Hoyoverse got like a bunch of ads in there. I'm sure that Wuthering Waves game is going to be very similar, even though it looks more like traditional RPG or whatever. But yeah, let's get into like the two, because he basically did one more things.
Yeah, right.
He did the one that like right before game. He did the one like before he was going to get to the game of the year, and then he stops and goes, "Oh well, it's the 10th anniversary. We got to have one more." So the first one is the Okami. They call it Okami sequel. They don't call it Okami 2 officially. And then it has Hideki Kamiya on there as he's. I don't know if he's going to be involved with development or he's going to be consulting or exactly.
Well, I think he's running that Clover's team. So
okay. So yeah, I mean that's going to be awesome. I love the Okami. So I think
it'll have some like dumb subtitle, like whatever Japanese is for sequel, or it won't be Gaiden because that's side story. But
right. But hey, that's cool that's happening. And then of course the huge reveal, which to Randy's credit, I think he like was just putting it out there hoping that when they first started showing stuff, he goes, "Naughty Dog, please."
Well, I was mostly doing it as far as like the reveal because they brought up Naughty Dog's name as far as who was going to be there, and I knew just the voice actresses that were presenting was not anything, and we never got a Last of Us Season 2 trailer. So yeah. I just
they did do the Last of Us 2 remastered on PC.
Yeah, but I was like, that's not going to be a reason why you say Naughty Dog would be there. So I was like, I felt it. It's like it has to be at this point. And man, especially once you kind of saw the faces, it was very Naughty Dog-esque. But
yeah,
I don't know a lot about the game. They showed one slight attack, but that was it. But it looks amazing, and obviously Naughty Dog has never done me wrong in any of their franchises. So very excited that we get another universe for them to kind of dive into and have some fun with.
Yeah, I did not think that when you see a space game, Naughty Dog's be the one doing that. So
not since Jack X has they done you wrong.
All right, never mind. They did do wrong. Wait, did they do X or by then did they give out?
Nope, they did X.
Extra. They did X. Darn it! I was hoping that was one.
That's when they were kind of like, okay, we're done with this by now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still awesome.
That's fair.
Like
I think, yeah.
No, I mean,
my only problem with that. Well, go on. So you go.
I'm just saying, like, I think it shows that obviously, in some other year, if Sony really had a lot to show, they probably would have done their own PlayStation showcase, and I had that here. But maybe it does show like how much Geoff has been able to get a lot of people to kind of come together and understand that, like, hey, let's make this a big thing. And for Sony to give this game that, like, nobody knew what this game was that Naughty Dog was working on. Mm-hmm. We just knew they're working on some new IP. And then for this to be like your one last thing, that's pretty amazing, you know.
And I'm going to be with everybody else where I'm going to give credit to Geoff for being able to get all of these reveals and have such a fantastic E3 feeling show. But it also kind of shows that at least, you know, some of these developers and Naughty Dog and CD Projekt Red and everyone else, Microsoft and Nintendo were pretty quiet as far as this goes. But it's starting to, the developers are realizing that when you're revealing a game and just showing a teaser, you need a live audience. Like it's fun for us to watch a PlayStation showcase or a Nintendo Direct and be shocked by a big reveal, and we have that moment. But being able to watch that and hear the crowd in the background, that's what we loved about E3.
Exactly.
Was the reveals and then the hypeness of the crowd when it happens. Like, what was it, 2017, where Sony had all of those games that they were like Shenmue 3 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and all that stuff. And the crowd going bonkers and bonkers throughout. That's what you needed. And that's when they noticed The Witcher and the crowd going nuts, or they brought up the developer of those games, and you can kind of hear the crowd in the background start to get excited. Like, that's what Geoff is bringing back, which we kind of lost after COVID. Like, that, obviously E3 was dying anyways, but since then we weren't getting a lot of these live performance reveal shows other than what Geoff does. And I think a lot of these developers went, we trust in Geoff, plus just to be able to hear the crowd react about a reveal we're going to go, it kind of gives us the goosebumps that we're missing from the directs and the showcases and the whatever Xbox calls their stuff. So yeah, I think that was a big part of it, and it nailed it here as well. And that, I mean, hopefully that means that we'll get more stuff like this. But it was fantastic. This whole show was great.
If you want that stuff, just do it. Konami used to do this. Fake it.
Yeah.
Pump it over the audio.
Right. It's fair.
Well, Marc, did you have any thoughts on Intergalactic as your?
My only problem, and I imagine Randy will disagree when I say this, is, and this isn't an insult to the actress. I looked her up, but why are they having you play as an unattractive chick?
I mean, that's pretty. I mean,
it looks like they just reused the model from Last of Us Part 2. The one, wasn't it like a bald kid in that one?
I know you're talking about
the cult.
I can't remember what the brother and sister's name were, but
it's like,
I mean, there may be other characters in the. I'm sure this is not the only characters we're going to meet in the entire.
I hope so, but
you know,
I thought she looked fantastic. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, yeah.
Like, I had a friend who messaged me like after he saw the trailer. He's like, "What's with the bald chick?" And I was like,
there might be a reason for that. We don't know, right? We need to get more of the story, more of what is actually this game
audio
about.
log.
You know, like maybe there's going to be a dev diary next year that explains all this stuff. I just don't like, you know, I've learned time and time again, like, don't be judging things just by that reveal trailer, because the game can change so much throughout the development. We don't even know where this game is in development, when we're going to see it, you know.
That's fine, but I've also learned that most people like to play, if you're going to play as a woman, they like to at least play as maybe not overtly sexual, but at least aesthetically pleasing.
Nah, I hate that's a horrible. I'm sorry, that's a horrible take. Just
yeah.
I mean, if that's your case, then why didn't Celebrate win Game of the Year? Because it has a sexual.
I mean, that's
so
the whole
dumb.
point. That's exactly what was my Thank you, Randy, for making that point for me. Because I feel like, you know, Metaphor wouldn't have, you know, nobody complained about Hulkenberg looking a certain way, whatever. Why? Because that whole cast is amazing, right? We're pointing fingers at a character that it's the only real character we've seen in the whole game. I don't think it's really fair to be pointing that out. You know, there could be a party for all we know. You know, I'm just saying, I feel like that's kind of unfair to do. You know, to me, it's the same as complaining that you are playing as somebody besides playing as a male in general. Why did they have
to have Kumail Nanjiani? So that'll be, if we're looking for sex appeal, there you go. I'm not saying it's like the primary thing. I'm just saying it is an aspect for some people.
Yeah, like, I'm sure it's the same grifters that are going to complain that Ciri is, you know, the main character of Witcher 4. So, to me, like, is there anything that you take away from this and go, anything that Geoff can, because he always tweaks something, right? He really did go 180 from the please wrap it up to make sure we let them have time to talk to I loved, I know you mentioned it, Randy, but the Game Changer Award, removing that, I mean, not saying that they don't deserve their time, but they always felt like such short shrift on the show, the future class stuff.
Yeah.
And especially the way that gaming journalism and gaming media is going, where it's like almost disappearing for the most part. That's like really not needed anymore. We don't need to highlight that necessarily. Having somebody that is kind of this person did a good thing in the industry this year. And he talked about layoffs. He talked about, hey, this industry is going through a bad time right now. Here's somebody that was helping people find jobs. And we're going to honor that person. It's not like I wouldn't mind them going back to having like a Legends Award also. But I think this is cool. Like, this is way better than having, they still had it, but this is way better than having Creator of the Year and all that junk. Like, honor somebody that actually did something to help people in the industry that year and make that something worth. Almost kind of like that, the NFL Man of the Year thing.
Yeah. The Jimmy V Award and all of those things. It creates more credibility. But to answer your question, the only thing that really still sticks to me, and it's tough to do because you have so many reveals that also blend in with your commercials. So it would almost, and I honestly, like, if I think back and try to remember, there were times where he said, after this, we will have this and this. So it kind of made it sound like, all right, here's a commercial break. But it would be nicer to basically even have the Game Awards returns in 3 minutes.
Yeah, actually, have a more like formulaic or more.
So then you understand. So it's like, you're not going, is this a reveal? No, this is just a commercial for.
Yeah, because some of those commercials games. They kind of go between.
They sneak in and stuff. And I would like that. And obviously, I'm sure those games would be like, no, I want you to pay attention and hope. I get it, but it's like, obviously those are what pay the bills, and it would be great. And I do think they hinted at it a few times of, hey, after we pay the bills here, but just hey, we'll be back in 3 minutes. Here's some stuff that'll pay the bills. Now you know when we'll be back, kind of stuff, because it is a very long show, and I don't think you can really shorten it because, well, what are you going to get rid of? We have to have the awards. We have to have the commercials to pay the bills. And everyone's
music stuff.
Well, but that's, I mean, you want to say it's an award show. Award shows all have the music stuff. The one thing that the Oscars and stuff don't have, and the reason why they're not as long, is because they don't have these big reveals. You don't get new movie trailers that are showing up on the Oscars. They do it.
That's true.
Differently. So it is one of those things where you're trying to make it as entertaining as possible. It's a very long show. So just to go, hey, commercial break, be back in 3 minutes. Here's your warning. Let us pay some bills. I think that'll be the best way to kind of clean things up. But other than that, I thought this was the best one by far that he has ever been able to put together. And even with that hour where, once again, he kind of front loads a lot of the reveals, and then he saved the two at the end. We kind of had that lull as far as the big reveals go. I was entertained the whole time, even during that section.
Yeah, that last hour kind of dragged for a bit until we got to the end with the reveals, and then kind of like the two awards and all that stuff. Marc, anything?
He could have actually had a credits at the end, so just thanking the crew. Like, that would have been nice for the people actually working the goddamn thing.
Yeah, that's kind of weird considering that, like, it's a YouTube thing. Like, you could literally just have credits scrolling at the end. It doesn't really hurt.
Instead of like when the ticker tape is like literally raining out from the ceiling.
Yeah, it's the same thing they do at other awards. You know, like when that final thing is happening, they're doing the credit stuff at the end. Like, that's something he could put in. Yeah, for me, like that's the main thing. It's like he did that well. He kind of told you, oh, coming up next, we're gonna have this and whatever to kind of get you to stick around. That's my one thing. It's kind of like, really do give more pronounced, these are commercials, so that I'm not sitting there going, Oh, is this kind of reveal? Do I need to take notes for this? You know,
You get to watch the unveiling of the new Intel CPU.
yeah. Well, but those were kind of like when they showed, like, you know, that this is an Xbox thing or
Twice.
like that.
Yeah,
So they were back to back.
Yeah. Well, because they had a new commercial. I think they hadn't shown that second one.
Oh yeah, but still spread them out a little bit.
No, I just would want more like. I'd love for him to kind of go maybe behind the scenes a little bit and explain why he chooses certain awards over other ones. Maybe it has to do with the guests that he can get to represent, right? Like, obviously, okay, you're going to do best game direction because you got Kojima to show up, right? Or we didn't talk about it, but Harrison Ford showing up to be the surprise with at the beginning with
performance.
Troy Baker.
Bringing up Harrison Ford reminded me of one more thing we can fix. Get a teleprompter that works. Yeah. So obviously it was not working for Harrison Ford, and he got lost for a minute. They made jokes about it throughout the show. So obviously it's just a tech issue thing, and it obviously had been tested.
He also doesn't like doing the award shows or whatever anymore either.
Yeah,
so it's like,
that's one thing I'm gonna say. Hey, he showed up, so good for him. But get rid of these old actors showing up.
No, but he makes sense. Okay, like when they had Al Pacino, that was just a total like, oh yeah, I can get Al Pacino to show up. Like, this actually made sense because he's Indiana freaking Jones, and the game, just
unless it's gonna be like, hey, we're releasing some DLC, right? I voice the character.
But the game literally just came out like 3 days ago, Mark. So it makes sense. They're promoting the game, and Troy Baker's there. Like,
having Troy Baker there is good enough. Show him out there dressed as Indy. That'd be fine.
I'm good with it. You still need that helps legitimize that show, regardless of whether, I'm good. I would have been fine without the Snoop Dogg performance. I think Snoop Dogg being there with his son and talking about how they have a game dev studio or whatever, I think that's great. I think that's cool for you to, for people to know. Snoop Dogg's just that dude.
Yeah, I think him being there and then just revealing that would have been fine. We didn't need that performance.
We didn't need the performance for Snoop Dogg. It just kind of felt like totally like, all right, we're just doing this because we can get Snoop Dogg to do a new song that, like, I don't think anybody really wanted to hear him do.
Take that back. John Vignacchi was chanting for a second. That was awesome.
Yeah, but
Snoop Dogg should have came out and just said, "Hey, we're bringing back Fear and Respect, that 2004 game that got canceled."
But I think overall, I said it already at the beginning. Like, this is the best Game Awards he's done, hands down. I want to see what happens. Also, it helped a lot that, like, it finally felt we have removed the shackles from most games that we announced that this thing had to be coming out next year. Now it's like, it doesn't matter when they're coming out. We're just going to try to show you the best games that we can show you.
I think the only game that actually had like a firm release date, unfortunately, was that Double Dragon thing.
No, the Drift of Paris game.
Kazan had a March 27th. The one you mentioned.
It's like a far out release date. Let's say that then.
Yeah,
coming out in a few months. But
I was talking to my wife when I was showing her some of the trailers afterwards. That it's one of those things, and I'm sure it was somebody on Kind of Funny that brought this up within the last day or two, that everyone is just waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 to say their release date. So then they can figure out when they're going to release their game. I think so many of the release dates that we got on there was 2025 because they feel like it's going to come out this year, but they don't want to say a date. And then Grand Theft Auto go, we're out that day too. And then you have to say, we delay our game because we need to fix a bug.
And it's like, you can't, not every game can be moved up, right? Yeah. So, like, you then have to delay out of the entire year because they're going to release it like November or October probably.
Hopefully
that'll be funny if Rockstar like announces in like October, like, oh, we're deleting GTA 6 till 2026 instead.
And
sorry.
They could. They very well could, because they've done that. Red Dead Redemption 2 got delayed twice. Yeah. So it's not out of the realm for them to delay it again, even though the industry's gonna get upset because they're doing this whole survive till 2025 thing, and the Switch 2 is
Right.
gonna do amazing, but they need GTA 6. So that's I was surprised how quiet Nintendo was. Like this nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
Microsoft. Like,
I'm a little bit more
Yeah.
surprised by Microsoft. Nintendo is full on in until we reveal this, whatever the new system's going to be called. I'm not calling it the Switch 2 because it's not going to be called the Switch 2 because that's not, Nintendo doesn't do numerals. But they are basically, until we reveal this, we are in just quiet mode now.
We're in port mode.
We have dumped out every possible thing we can put on the Switch. We've hit the back stuff, the backlog, and now it is just we're waiting for the Switch.
They've literally hit the backlog. They've even got Chronicles X finally, Donkey Kong, whatever whatever that is that's coming out.
They're still going to put out Metroid Prime Remastered 2 and 3.
But they finally revealed Metroid Prime 4, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like they literally are at the bottom of the barrel at this point.
We got a Peach game. We got a Zelda game. We're hitting everything.
Yeah, they've only got like what if the Zelda remasters are true, and the other two Metroid Prime games, and it's like and then the Pokemon game that's out there, the ZA whatever game, you know.
But I'll tell you this: I'm kind of glad we didn't get Nintendo, because if they would have shown up and said we have a new Star Fox game coming out on the Switch, I would have came on here and said that the next system's not coming out for another 10 months, and they're desperate. Yeah, they got to fill out some space, so they're digging into.
Right now, they have like till March. Every month has something big, and then like March is where they're kind of like, okay, we might reveal the Switch 2 like in April or May or something.
Watch them drop that trailer tomorrow. Like, oh, you're all excited about all these games? Here's whatever our system is.
Yeah, we let everybody else, Day of the Devs and Postal Snack, and now Game Awards, like, oh, now we got to be the final thing you get excited about at the end of December. But no, it's just, it is a pretty cool, like, just, okay, that's it. That's the last, like, big show of the year, and it really feels like, okay, we got some things to get excited about for whenever the heck they're going to come out, but they delivered on that. And now everybody else can do their Game Awards, Game of the Year things. GameSpot already did theirs, a metaphor. IGN, I think, did their nominees or whatever. But any issues with who won awards, I guess, before we get out of here? Or did you feel like somebody got robbed?
Honestly, not. I mean, obviously, I am a big champion for Silent Hill 2 and the audio design, but I've not played Hellblade 2. I have it downloaded on my Xbox. I just haven't gotten to it. I showed Sean my games I've played on Xbox this year. It's one game, and it was back in January. My poor Xbox just collects dust.
Yeah.
But, so I thought that was the one that Silent Hill could win. Same with the voice actor. But I haven't played Hellblade, so I don't know her performance. But I thought the guy that played James in Silent Hill 2 absolutely killed it. I have no problem basically with the rest of them. Again, Metaphor is not my kind of game, but it sounds like it was absolutely fantastic. So giving it Best RPG, I have no problem with. Again, I'm still under that impression that they're kind of waiting for the third Final Fantasy to come out to give it the Lord of the Rings treatment, unless the third one completely bombs and fails at everything it's been building up for these two games, and then it will not get any of that treatment. So honestly, out of all the awards that were given out, there was not one where I went, wow, really? And
look how well Lightning Return did, man. Come on, I'm just going to follow that pattern.
I mean,
it came off of a bad game. All right. Lightning Returns just as well as 13.
Yeah, to be fair, 13-2 might have been the best of the bunch in that, and that was the middle game. So, yeah, I mean, did you have any issues at all, Mark, with the award winners? Or
for me, I don't mind Astrobot winning Game of the Year for this thing. I mean, I would disagree with it. I don't like it winning Game Direction though. I would prefer probably Metaphor or even Rebirth.
To me, Game Direction and Game of the Year are almost hand in hand. It's one of those awards where it's like secretly
Yeah,
revealing which one's
but-
going to win Game of the Year
But
anymore.
that doesn't necessarily track for like the Golden Globes, because there are occasional like differences there, like movie director
Yeah.
versus like movie of the year. So I would have been happier if something like that kind of happened. Because I think my problem with Astrobot is just like it's celebrating this history of not Final Fantasy, celebrating this history of PlayStation, but it doesn't have anything in it aside from like this.
The mechanics are great if you want to call that direction, I guess. But no, I do understand where you're coming from. You could kind of give your second place of Game of the Year to game direction, because there were several fantastic games that could have deserved that award for sure.
Yeah.
Milena
Juergens becomes the first 2-time winner of Best Performance, by the way, too, for winning both times for Hellblade. I feel like the Hellblade.
Do I need to play?
Go ahead.
Do I need to play the first Hellblade to enjoy the second Hellblade?
You do need to kind of understand the story, but you could also just watch a YouTube video.
I might just do that. That seems like too much.
So like the thing is, like, the only cool thing if you go straight to Hellblade 2 and you don't have played Hellblade 1 is all the stuff that Hellblade does with the audio design that it won for.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get the shock to the system that you won't get if you've already played it with the first game, because it's still a lot of the same stuff. It's just bigger, grander, So the graphics are prettier, that kind of thing. Whereas Hellblade 1 was really an indie game, and they did all that stuff, and that's what was so amazing about it. That's where I'm kind of like, I'm fine with it winning, because obviously it does have amazing audio design. But what they do with Silent Hill 2 is just, it's such a, like, to me, it felt special.
Yeah. And once you get to the prison part of that, and if you're wearing headphones, I thought they absolutely killed the audio design. But that was just my personal taste, and I haven't played Hellblade. So again, there's not one that I went, wow, really? That's the winner. But what about you, Sean? Did you have one?
No, I figured as soon as everybody was lauding Metaphor, and it was getting the critic, the Metacritic and Open Critic were like right there next to Rebirth, I knew that it was going to win.
Yeah.
All the categories Rebirth was in, because it was a lot newer. It was more recent. People didn't have a problem with the Metaphor doesn't have the bloat problem that Rebirth gave people.
Yeah.
And
people only if you wanted to.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but there's a lot of people that did have the bloat. And then the whole thing of like Rebirth's story is not technically concluded, right? Whereas Metaphors is a whole story from beginning to end. So I can kind of understand all that. I am glad that Rebirth won for music, at least, where like I felt like 16 got robbed last year. So, I'm glad that Final Fantasy just didn't get 0-4 on everything. That's only, to me, that was the only thing. And honestly, to me, can we get rid of the most anticipated category? It is the most ridiculous category that exists. Like, we could do something else with that? Like, give it to something else that actually deserves to have a category. I don't know, like best expansion or
how about
something.
This? Well, you can only be nominated for most anticipated game if you're going to reveal a big trailer that will then be announced right after they give out the winner. So it's like most anticipated game, Grand Theft Auto 6, and here's the new trailer. And
I mean,
then we can keep it.
What they should have done is had Sam Houser come out in GTA 6 one and go, yeah, I'll try to have it out next year. We'll see.
Yeah, right. That's the thing I think everybody will want to know. It's like, is it really going to come out next year? But from here, we're gonna do a regular episode on Monday. I just wanted to go ahead and knock this out, because by the time we get to Monday, everybody's kind of you don't really care about hearing about the actual show. You're just like reveling in the announcements, and it is what it is. Like, we've already had all the big releases at this point, essentially. So go play your Indiana Jones, go play whatever you want. I'm gonna go play more of that. I've been enjoying the crap out of Indiana Jones. It actually made me go watch Raiders of the Lost Ark again because
I'll go back to playing the true game of the year, Infinity Nikki.
Yeah, that one. You should. I'm telling you, you should have Addie and your wife play that together. I bet they would enjoy it probably.
I watched that trailer. I had not even heard of this game until all of a sudden it was getting a bunch of buzz like a week or two ago. I watched that trailer that they showed on the Game Awards. I go, what? I don't understand the game. But yeah, it has a lot of cute stuff, so maybe Addie would be into it.
It's weirdly like Mario Odyssey.
Huh.
Yeah. Only you just play dress up a lot.
Yeah, you play dress up a lot. It's like it's got platforming. So and she's like an Astrobot. So you know.
I have to look into it,
and it's free. You don't have to buy anything. So I mean,
now
it's gonna probably
on it.
It's probably gonna tell you.
It is a gotcha game, but it's very limited, or it's very like kind of off to the wall or off to the side. Like you don't necessarily have to do that crap.
Yeah. So
she's never gonna get to a point where she's gonna need it anyway. So
Dad, what's your credit card number?
Right.
The plan, I think, is probably going to be I'm going to wait until after Christmas at least to do the Game of the Year stuff.
Thank you. I have a big backlog. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. I have a big backlog that I'm hoping I can get to, even though I don't get the days off that a lot of people do to go just play all day. But, you know, still, it's cool to like be able to do that during the holidays and whatever. And then we'll do our probably like most anticipated for next year. Somewhere probably before then. Now that they've added more things for us to be excited about for next year, and then we'll go from there. So thank you, Randy, for being on this one.
Thanks for inviting me.
And we'll see y'all later on Monday. Everybody, enjoy.
Later.